The Marketing Miracle, Los Angeles, 2016, almost a decade ago. Against all odds and every political genius's predictions, Donald Trump absolutely handed Hillary Clinton her own ass at the polls. During the campaign, the guy crowned himself the world's favorite villain thanks to his incredibly subtle rhetoric on immigration. Who could forget when he gracefully pointed out that Mexico was only sending rapists, criminals, and drug dealers? A true visionary of exaggeration. I mean, clearly nobody bothered to tell him that there's also a shit ton of Mexicans crossing the border with the terrible, criminal intent of spending dollars, doing tourist stuff, and keeping the US economy afloat. But, of course, actual reality has never mattered worth a shit when the marketing is that good. And then, sure, you have that tiny, uncomfortable detail that everyone loves to ignore. That old-fashioned rule of etiquette which says if you're a guest in someone else's house, you shut up and follow the host's rules. Shocking concept, right? The problem is that for a lot of foreigners, and let's be honest, a good chunk of my own people, the mere idea of following someone else's rules gives them hives. But the marketing worked. Boy, did it work. The revenge of the forgotten. While TV talking heads and pollsters swore up and down with a beautiful sense of moral superiority that Hillary already had one foot in the White House, reality blew up right in their faces. Factory workers, industrial laborers, and a middle class tired of being invisible said, "Fuck it," and voted for the mogul with the impossible comb-over. It's a piece of poetic genius. In the absolute bastion of capitalism, a massive pile of low-income people ended up voting for the right wing and left the Democrats biting the dust.
An ambulance rolled up, a straight trooper close behind.
Sure, on paper, the economy was recovering from the 2008 crash. But back in the real world, there were cities completely devastated by the opioid epidemic, neighborhoods turned to absolute dog shit, and a nagging feeling that the American dream wasn't enough to cover everyone anymore. On top of that, you have to add the Democrats' wonderful culture war obsession. While the enlightened folks in Washington were tearing their hair out debating gender identity, pronouns, and other absolutely vital priorities, the average citizen just wanted a job that could actually pay the fucking rent. Impeccable disconnect. What the hell is Trump waiting for? That question makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Not because they care about the answer, but because it exposes the sheer size of the shit show we're living in. Well, let's see. As if the fucking world revolved around Mexico. It's got open fronts all over half the planet. Iran is still a goddamn powder keg. Venezuela keeps sinking in a crisis that didn't magically disappear. And Cuba has spent decades with its people just surviving in the middle of shortages and hopelessness. Of course, saying that gives a rash to a lot of shitty leftists. They'd rather defend those governments from the comfort of their keyboards, while the people actually living there are lining up for food, medicine, or just a sliver of hope. But that tiny little detail can go fuck itself as far as they're concerned. Trump's got enough shit on his plate already. Plus, he's gearing up for the next US elections. He doesn't spend his whole damn day waiting to see what happens in Mexico. I've got a question for all those people who ran off to the United States to clean toilets and mow lawns because there are no opportunities in Mexico, so now Trump's the bad guy? The same Trump who busts his ass for his own country, not for Mexico, and sure as hell not for Mexicans. Would you let a Honduran stranger crash at your house with his hand out asking for help? Of course you fucking wouldn't. So why the fuck do we want some dumbass president in Mexico who cries over other countries instead of taking care of his own? That's exactly what happens here. We send money, oil, and God knows what else to Cuba while our own people are starving their asses off. Because Mexicans are raised to be victims, they live as victims, and they die as victims. That's why we're in the mess we're in. A bunch of fucking idiots applauding the people who screw us over while complaining about those who actually stand up for their own country. If he could peek into 2026, he'd probably ask, "So who won?" The answer would be simple: nobody, except the usual suspects. The victims march almost alone. Everyone else watches from the comfort of their screens, convinced that hell always happens somewhere else, until it's their turn to go looking for a son, a brother, or a friend. Then they discover that indifference also has an expiration date. They fill our mouths with the word sovereignty. What's sovereignty? The one that's been kidnapped for years by crime, corruption, and the same old politicians? That sovereignty is more beaten to shit than protected. But sure, when someone questions it, the armchair patriots come out tearing their clothes in outrage. The prosecutor's office keeps doing what it does best, managing case files at the speed of a fossil. Justice arrives so late that by the time it shows up, the government has already changed, and so has the speech. In the presidential palace, they've discovered the secret to governing without governing: talking. The morning press conferences are the longest and most expensive reality show in the country's history. Hours of microphone time, tons of propaganda, and impeccable production so that reality never ruins the script. I don't give a fuck about patriotic speeches. I don't pray to a flag. I bet on peace, on freedom, on being able to work without some asshole charging me protection money and without some official trying to get his cut. That's what matters to me. Every day they sell us the same shit. Press conferences, promises, doctored numbers, and an optimism that only exists in the government's microphone. Reality, on the other hand, still smells like fear. My name is Camel Filmmaker, and if you didn't like the documentary, go fuck your mother, you asshole.